Happy Monday, everyone. The stock market started this week off on an exciting note as we saw chip stocks like Nvidia and AMD rocket to the upside. And while that's happening, we also have some huge Bitcoin ETF related news set to release pretty soon. And then on top of that, we have crucial inflation data set to release this week. So it would be an understatement to say this week will be an exciting one, and it'll be full of some great moves. And that's pretty obvious given just the price action we saw from today. But going into tomorrow, there is some even more solid setups and important things to be aware of. In this video, we're going to cover those setups. We're going to cover the important news. And towards the end of the video, we have a big money $600,000 trade from today. So make sure to stick with us all the way to the end. But Tom, it was a pretty exciting day today. Fill us in.
Yeah, it was an amazing day in the market overall, and the SPY ran all the way back up to that 473, 474 area and actually broke it end of day as it looks like it's pushing up towards 475 now. And if we go out to that hourly chart, you know, we have recent highs up here very close to like 477.50, right around 477. So the market's under there by around like 3 points. We could easily be up around that recent high here if we get another good move like this tomorrow. And, you know, judging by the way these chip stocks are running today, we might see a continuation. Nvidia actually made an all-time high. If we go out on a 4-hour chart and we scroll all the way back to Nvidia's recent high, you can see it is breaking it. That high was in, I believe, after hours one day. So to see it breaking there is pretty awesome, Mike. And, you know, hey, they have some pretty big news going on, too. They had some partnerships with some healthcare companies today that they announced, and they're also going to have an event this weekend at CES, which is like a technology conference in Vegas. And they actually announced some new graphics cards, which are actually having a lot of capabilities, Mike. I saw, you know, you can use these to generate images on Adobe Photoshop's Firefly and remove backgrounds in video calls. So, and obviously they'll be pretty good on games too. It's like the RTX 4060 Super, 4070 Ti Super, and 4080 Super. But at the end of the day, Mike, it made Nvidia run up to all-time highs, and I know everyone's going to be thinking about that Pelosi trade now.
You beat me to it, Tom. I was just going to say that because as Nvidia just cracks a brand new all-time high, Miss Nancy Pelosi conveniently bought some call options, and a whole lot of them on this stock. So basically, she loaded up millions of dollars worth of call options for Nvidia shares on November 22nd, and the stock is sure running with some great momentum right now. But I know a bunch of people love how Nancy just so happened to get in at just a pretty solid time.
Yeah, exactly. You know, they have these partnerships with the healthcare companies. Like, did she know something about that? Did she know something about them releasing new cards? Or was she just getting in for the long term? It's hard to say. But at the end of the day, Mike, that's a pretty crazy trade from such an influential person out there. And with the way NVIDIA is looking now, even in after hours, it's continuing to go. So far, this trade is looking really fire for her, especially at her strike price. What was that strike price again, Mike? It was like $120. I mean, that is an insane strike. The stock's at 524, and I don't know, Mike. Everyone keeps saying that we'll be at 600 soon. Maybe we will. These stocks go on euphoric runs sometimes. We saw Tesla do this a little while ago. If we go to a weekly chart, back in 2020, Tesla went on a euphoric run like this, and people kept saying it's too high, but it kept going until the momentum gave out. Then it came all the way back, of course. But Mike, like sometimes these euphoric moves just last for a long time, and it looks like in NVIDIA's case, it just keeps going here.
Exactly. So looking at Nvidia for tomorrow, you know, it has a lot of momentum right now, so it definitely is hard to fight against given how much just power and momentum and bullish price action is with the stock. But Tom, I'll also say this. If we look at Nvidia on a daily chart, we can see that a lot of times when it has like super explosive days, it doesn't do like all that great the following day. So like, for example, we could see like on August 14th, check that out. August 14th, it had an enormous green day. The next day, it didn't do bad, but it was okay. And then even again on August 21st of 2023, another giant green day, and it was all right the next day. So like, and there are a lot of other examples like this as well. But I just find it interesting that like in the past, like when it does go on like enormous like green runs all within one day, it's not usual for Nvidia to do the same thing the following day as well.
Yeah, it seems like it's pretty mixed here, like throughout a lot of these moves. But like you said, those bigger ones, it's like the next day just ends up being like a volatile mess. Like it might open up really high or something. Like look at some of these candles here, Mike. Like let's actually go back on an hourly chart really quick, because going back to August, I bet you that those candles are pretty nuts back there. Let's go back. But yeah, here we are. Like Mike, like look at that candle right here. Like it ran up in after hours, then the next morning in pre-market was all the way back down. That's why it's getting those weird prints, and we might see something like that. But I will say it's cool to see it breaking out, and I hope it continues rather than dies off tomorrow. But we'll have to see, because there's a lot of momentum, and I don't know, Mike. I'm kind of thinking the SPY might even push all-time highs if this momentum keeps up, because even like Apple and Microsoft were having great recoveries today.
Yeah, the whole market's just getting closer and closer and closer, or SPYs, I should say, to a new all-time high. So fun stuff there. But Tom, there's also a lot of excitement with the crypto side of things as well right now, given that we're going to get a new update with this potential Bitcoin spot ETF. So fill us in.
Yeah, people are saying that the Bitcoin ETF is expected for approval on Wednesday. And I will say, it looks like there's a few different people out there, like Bloomberg analyst, actually looking at like there's a 90% chance that this ends up getting approved. But it's just very interesting with the Bitcoin ETF, Mike. And the big thing is that the Bitcoin stocks are getting extremely volatile. Like if we go over to Mara today, there was a pretty wild intraday move. Like it ran down a ton and then recovered all the way up and almost broke recent highs. It was very, very close. Coinbase has been dipping recently, and they're starting to come back out of that dip and out of the chop zone a little bit. So maybe if they could break out tomorrow, that would be nice. But yeah, so it looks like that Bitcoin ETF could get approved on Wednesday. And if it does, that's going to be a pretty big thing for Bitcoin, Mike. I know everyone talks about it, but it's going to just add a lot of volatility in. And this is coming as Bitcoin is going to be halving soon as well. But it seems like just like right now, there's a lot of hype behind Bitcoin. And if we go like Bitcoin on a daily chart, it has been fire.
Yeah, and I know like Coinbase and Mara are some of the most popular like stocks right now when it comes to like Bitcoin and just cryptos in general. So as always, keep a close eye on those ones, as while they're not necessarily at recent highs, they're still very close, and they're still pretty, pretty extended to the upside. So keep a close eye on those ones. And then Tom, I came across a pretty interesting chart basically showing that over the years, all the way going back all the way to 1950, election years have never been lower after a red midterm year. So for this most recent midterm was 2022, and it was red, and we could see literally every single other time in history when there was like a red midterm year, the election year ended up being green. So we'll see what happens this year, but I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, Mike, some of these years where it was green were very great years for the stock market, too. Like, look at this. The average is like 13.2%. The median's 14.4% on those election years. I can't wait to see what it does this time. I hope that it ends up being green again by 20 or 16%. That would be awesome. But this is kind of nitpicking on some data, but it's really cool to see it. I know that there's a lot of data that's going to come out this year with election years, and we're going to be following a lot of that historical data as the year goes on. So it's a nice chart, Mike, and it's good to see that we might see a nice green year here, at least by this chart standards.
True that. And then, Tom, we can't forget that we do have a pretty action-packed week in terms of economic data, as inflation data will release 1 hour before market open on Thursday. So we still have a couple more days for that, but you don't get inflation data every week. So when it does come out, it definitely has potential to move the markets, and it has definitely moved the markets a whole lot in the past. And then on top of that, we also have some earnings heating up as Tilray reports before open tomorrow.
Yeah, Tilray reports tomorrow before open, and there's a few other smaller companies tomorrow too, like WD-40 and After Hours and a couple more. But at the end of the week's going to be where everything's really big, Mike, with those bank stocks. We'll talk about that a lot more as the week progresses. But Tilray tomorrow is going to be really fun, Mike. I hope that they report some good earnings. Hopefully that revenue's growing. I know that they've been trying to do things to supplement that revenue going down quite a bit, actually. So I'm hoping that they can, kind of get back in the game here and get that revenue back up and hopefully start to break back out. It would be nice to see him back around $3 or so over the next few months.
Yeah, and Tilray is actually one of the stocks I'll be watching the closest tomorrow, as basically when they report earnings, like the way I look at it at least is like, if the news is good, if their earnings is good and people are feeling bullish about them, like they'll run with some good power. And if not, then they'll be stuck in the mud. But it's like when they run, like a lot of times, like they run like a lot. So I will have close eyes on this one tomorrow. The way I'm going to approach it is, if the stock is moving with some like power and volume and momentum and good price action in a bullish way, then I'll definitely look to trade it in a bullish way. But if that like overwhelming amount of bullishness isn't there, then it's just one of those plays where it's not good enough to justify.
Yeah, the past two earnings have been kind of mixed. Like the last report kind of had a pretty bad red day, and then the stock ended up going down. But a couple earnings ago back in July, the stock gapped up and ended up going on a huge uptrend after having a great earnings report there. So, yeah, we'll have to see what Tilray does tomorrow, Mike, but it's going to be a very interesting report. With my play, I'm going with Coinbase. With all the Bitcoin ETF news coming out and the potential of it being approved, Coinbase has been kind of coming up off of a recent dip. And if I see it start to break recent resistance right around 161.90, right around 162, then I'm going to go ahead and look at calls. So if we see that level break where we've had a lot of bounces over the past few days, then I'll look at those calls. But if it doesn't break there, I'm going to treat it like a momentum play and just not even touch it then tomorrow.
Alrighty, sounds good. Another stock I'm watching pretty closely is Peloton, and this one had that pretty big partnership with TikTok last week, and it pulled back a little bit today, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, as over the past couple days, this stock has been on a pretty big run of about like 25%. So that's a pretty big run. And to see a 2% red day isn't anything to panic about. So I will continue to look at this one in a bullish way when tomorrow comes around. I would love to see a break above like that $6.80 level and just like consistent price action to show that like the bulls are still in control and actively trading this stock. But either way, there's like a lot of there's a big catalyst around it, and it has already started to move the stock in a good way, but I think it has even more legs to it.
Yeah, and we see stocks like this go up a lot, and then they'll consolidate for a few days and, just trade or go flat, and then they'll end up, continuing that nice uptrend a few days later. So I'll definitely have it on the radar, Mike. It looks like a pretty good playoff support as well. I'm actually looking at Boeing off support for tomorrow, but I'm not looking for it like technically off of support. I'm really looking for support to give out, right? There's a big support here at 224 to 225. If this stock gets under 224 tomorrow morning, I will be looking at it in a bearish way. I know that we were looking at it pretty bearishly this morning, Mike, and let's see, it ended up being down around 8% at close. That's a pretty big drop. I thought it would be around 10%, but ended up closing around 8. If we do see it move lower tomorrow, I think there'll be a great opportunity for puts. Just keep in mind, this is going to be news-based, and you have to really see that momentum come in. If this stock's starting to trend higher in the morning, don't come be like, hey, Tom, I lost on puts. You should only be getting them if that support really gives out.
Exactly. All right, well, let's get right into the momentum plays for tomorrow. And with the first one, we have Upwork to the upside, as this one popped by like 11.5% today.
Oh my gosh, and at close, it almost broke recent highs again. Go ahead and make them break above 1575, just above that high of day today. What a move.
Boom. With the next one, we have Penn also to the upside.
Yeah, I was watching them all day. I'm a shareholder of Penn. Hopefully they keep going. But if they end up breaking above 25.53 tomorrow, just above 25.50, then go ahead and look at calls. I think this is a pretty good setup here to the upside, Mike. These casino stocks started recovering up quite a bit today.
There we go. And with the last one, we have Tesla for both directions.
Tessie, yeah, the legendary Tesla here. They're actually recovering pretty good today. If they end up breaking out above 241.50 tomorrow, then maybe eye up those calls. But if they end up falling back under 240 and getting under 239, then I'll be looking at puts tomorrow. So if it breaks under 239, look at puts. If it breaks above 241.50, look at the calls.
All right, you guys heard Tom. That's those are the levels for Tesla. Don't forget about the levels for Penn and Upwork as well. If they break above said levels, then they can be plays. But if the levels are not broken, then find a new play. Don't force anything bad. We're looking for a big imbalance of momentum, and that is where the opportunity is. But it is now about that time, Tom, for today's big money $600,000 trade of the day, and we are looking at Chewy, CHWY. This is a stock that I love for the long term. It's at a pretty solid level, and it has been on a pretty good run ever since like the end of October or so. It was higher a couple weeks ago, but it pulled back a little bit, and basically the big money today put around 600 grand into the Chewy $17.50 strike call options that expire on July 19th of 2024. So these options have some time to them. They're in the money. The stock, at least in my opinion, is pretty good. I like it for the long term, but anyways, either way, the stock has been running in a pretty bullish way in the short term. Overall, I think it looks pretty good, and just like I say with all big money setups, in order to play this the correct way, you have to give it the time it needs. Don't just try and trade Chewy to the upside tomorrow thinking that you're with the big money here, because you wouldn't be. The big money is trading this out to, basically the middle to end of July. So if you want to follow this, just make sure to give it that time.
Yeah, and sometimes we do see big moves right away following these big money plays, but that doesn't necessarily mean, like Mike saying, that the big money is, looking for those stocks to move up right then. They'll generally hold through like a bit of a longer uptrend or something along those lines, but I like the play a lot, Mike. Chewy's dipping down. It's right around $20 again, too, starting to bounce off support. If it keeps holding here, that would be great. I'm actually looking to grab some Chewy shares on this dip. I think this dip was actually like a great opportunity for many traders to get this one a lot lower. Like $20 is way better than 25. And where we're at, for all of our theta traders out there, selling puts down here at like the 18, 17, 15 strikes, you could have some great averaging in here and, get in at a really, really low price. Even if this stock falls a little bit, you could collect that premium, get those shares, and really let it go. But yeah, I love this as a longer term setup here. Even short term, though, it has some pretty good momentum over the past 2 days as it's been starting to base off support.
Yeah, no doubt. And Tom, I knew from just yesterday's video that this week was going to be an exciting one, and I'll say it has started off in a great way so far. Nvidia, AMD, and a handful of other stocks today really set the tone for the rest of the week, so I think it's going to be a really great one. And if you guys are into short-term trading, definitely check out the Stocked Up trading floor. Our bots hit it out of the park today with NVIDIA call options. We can see our SM bot had NVIDIA call options that popped up by 207% today. There was a bunch of other options that popped up a ton. AMD call options popped up by 96%. Our Surge bot was screaming great setups all day long, and overall, the Stocked Up trading floor is the place to be, whether it is the custom bots, whether it is the endless amount of new updates that are completely included, whether it's the fact that you can chat with Tom and myself all day long, or join the live events, or get the big money plays on the same day they're made before the market closes, or whatever reason, we have it all. So if you're into short-term trading, this is the place to be. And like I said, our bots just really hit it out of the park today. So definitely join. It's that first link in the description and the comments down below. But it's going to be an exciting week, Tom.
It really is, and I'll say this, the SM bot was on fire with NVIDIA. Surge bot had an insane power rating on NVIDIA, and that power rating from Open just kept going higher and higher and higher and higher. Obviously, at some point, it started to flatten out, but man, that was an awesome morning. Great job for the bots, and let's hope that this week can be good, Mike. We do still have that economic data coming up on Thursday with the inflation rate. That's going to be the big event of the week for me, but other than that, I think this price action is looking awesome, and hopefully NVIDIA can keep having some good action in the short term. That stock was awesome today, and I don't know. Will we beat a 600 soon? Let me know in the comments. I don't know if we'll get quite to 600, but this breakout looks pretty awesome.
No doubt. And then last but not least, I want to give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, Ilya in the Stocked Up Discord. You've been in the chat for a couple weeks now, and you've been a great member so far. But yeah, this week is going to be a very exciting one. I'm pumped up. There should be a lot of great opportunities and a lot of great movement. So I hope you guys are as excited as we are. Again, come join the Stocked Up trading floor. It's a place to be if you're into short-term trading. And let's make this week a great one. Thanks for watching.